What would you risk for freedom? Your fortune? Your home? Your life? 250 years ago, 13 scattered colonies along the edge of the North American continent were part of the greatest empire on earth, the British Empire. But beneath the surface of loyalty and trade, something was growing. A fire, a whisper, a belief that ordinary people had the right to govern themselves. The story you're about to hear isn't just about battles or declarations. It's about people, farmers, blacksmiths, lawyers, printers, and soldiers who dared to challenge a king. It's about ideals, liberty, equality, and self-rule that changed the course of history. This is the story of how the United States of America won its independence. Let's begin in the early 1700s, nearly a century before the first shot of the Revolution was fired. At this time, 13 colonies lined the eastern coast of North America, stretching from the rocky shores of New Hampshire in the north to the warm marshes of Georgia in the south. These colonies were born from a mix of ambition, desperation, and hope. Some were founded by entrepreneurs, others by religious refugees, and some by settlers simply seeking a better life. The people who lived here were not yet Americans. They were British subjects, bound by loyalty to the crown, yet they were different from those in England. They were farmers, blacksmiths, merchants, fishermen, and frontier settlers. Many of them had never even seen England. They were building a new identity shaped by the vast wilderness, hard work, and a growing sense of independence. Each colony had its own government, with locally elected assemblies that managed most day-to-day affairs. They passed laws, raised militias, and even collected taxes, all with the blessing of the British Crown. But ultimate authority still rested in London, thousands of miles away. The colonists followed British laws, used British currency, and participated in the British economy. The economic system of the time was called mercantilism, where colonies existed to enrich the mother country. The British government controlled trade tightly, requiring the colonies to send raw materials like tobacco, timber, and cotton back to Britain. In return, they bought back finished goods. This system helped the empire grow rich, but it often frustrated colonial merchants who wanted more freedom to trade. Still, for decades, this arrangement worked peacefully. The British Navy protected colonial ports. Trade brought prosperity, and the colonists were largely left alone to govern themselves. This semi-autonomous period is often referred to as salutary neglect, a kind of unofficial hands-off policy that allowed colonial society to grow and thrive. But even during this peaceful time, the seeds of discontent were quietly growing. You see, living on the edge of a vast frontier cut off from direct British oversight taught the colonists to solve their own problems. When the governor was hundreds of miles away and messages took weeks to travel, local communities had to rely on themselves. They developed a fierce sense of self-reliance and local control. And while they still drank tea and read British newspapers, many began to see themselves as something new, not just British, but something different, something more American. By the 1750s, the colonies were booming. The population was expanding rapidly. Cities like Boston, Philadelphia, and Charleston were thriving hubs of trade, culture, and politics. Life wasn't easy. There were wars with native tribes, harsh winters, and few luxuries, but the promise of land, opportunity, and freedom drew thousands of new settlers every year. At this point, there was no thought of breaking away from Britain. The colonists were proud to be part of the British Empire, but they also had a taste of something dangerous, something powerful, the taste of freedom. And when that freedom, even the illusion of it, was threatened, they were ready to fight.